Hello and welcome back to Simon's Rants. I'm Simon, this is Eric, and we just saw Brian Banks. Now, Brian Banks was released limited last year, but it is now getting a wide release this year. It is, in case you don't know, the movie about the football player who got sent to jail because he was falsely accused of rape. And it was directed by Tom Shadyac, who, if you don't know who he is, he's more known for his comedies. He directed Ace Ventura, Liar Liar, Bruce Almighty, movies like that. And he's taken some time off of directing, but he's back now, and this is his first movie back, I believe, in over a decade, I think. So, what did you think, Eric?
The movie itself very down the middle. Like,
Right.
it wasn't bad, wasn't good. Oh, it wasn't great. Let's put it that way. I would say it wasn't good. I was entertained the whole time, but it wasn't anything. I'll probably never see it again.
Right.
Just being honest, yeah. It's a good story. I did a little research on it before. It's pretty accurate to it. I was wondering if they were gonna Hollywood it up a little bit. It's very accurate.
It seemed pretty accurate, yeah. I'm glad that I had my expectations adjusted, because up until today, it had a decently high rating on IMDb. It was like 8 or something, 8.1, somewhere around there. And then I went to get tickets today, and it had dropped to 5.7. And I almost didn't come and see it because I was like, oh shoot, it must be horrible. But I am glad that I came and saw it.
Yeah.
It definitely wasn't an 8.1, but it wasn't a 5.7 either. I'm somewhere in the middle as well, somewhere as like a 6, I would say. If the beginning scares you, it does get a little bit better. The main issue with this movie, I'd have to say, was the script was horrendous. The dialogue was written horribly. Every cliche possible that could have been used for the situations was used, and the acting was on par with a TV movie.
Yeah.
But bright side, it's got some good moments in there. I wouldn't say the directing was anything special either, but it wasn't bad.
Right, yeah.
It was fine. It just wasn't really memorable, except for a couple of scenes that I will talk about later in the spoiler section. There was some good, I thought, directing moments in there, but it was mainly kind of forgettable. And then as far as acting, there was also some good moments. Morgan Freeman has a cameo in this, and he's, of course, good. The main character wasn't always good, but I felt like he is a good actor. He was just fighting through bad dialogue.
Yeah.
And so you could actually see his acting best when he wasn't saying anything and was just using his facial expressions and body to act. And when the dialogue wasn't bad, he was able to convey his emotions a lot better through that dialogue. Good comparison is, and I know I'm gonna probably get flack for saying this, but like Hayden Christensen in the Star Wars prequels, when every line is so bad, I guess you could say anybody in the prequel trilogy is fighting through this horrible dialogue, but then you've got scenes where they're not saying anything, and they're the best scenes. Like in Star Wars Episode 3, you've got that scene where Hayden Christensen and Natalie Portman are staring out windows across the city at each other, and it's like, wow, that scene was actually good because nobody was saying anything.
Right.
And you've got some scenes like that in this movie where Brian, I don't know the actor's name, but the character Brian is sitting at like in court at several times, and he's just like frustrated or relieved or whatever, and you just see it all there, and it's very plain, and he doesn't have to say anything, and it looks great. But yeah, the dialogue was absolutely horrible.
Yeah, there was a few times I was like, who wrote this?
Yeah, I was waiting to see it, and I was glad to see it wasn't Shadyac who wrote it, because I was like, no, that was horrible.
A couple of the scenes that I can remember were bad were the scene when he first meets the trainer lady and they're on their date. That first, it's bad. It's a little predictable too. Like, I guess that's so spoiler, so I don't say that.
Yeah, you know what? I think we can probably just get into spoilers now. That's all there is to say about it. If you don't know the story, it follows the story well. The pros are there's some good acting. The story's pleasant. But everything else is So that's what we thought of that, but we're gonna get into spoilers now, so if you don't want anything spoiled, you can click away now, but just like, share, and subscribe. Thanks, guys. Bye. So
well, like when like being predictable, right? So when he meets with the girl the second time after she left him, I mean, when she started to talk that she had a situation on the other end, like you just knew that was coming. I thought that was very predictable. At the end, I think it was obvious that that phone call I got at the very end was going to be the coach, Pete Carroll.
Right.
That was very, very predictable. The minute it rang, I was like, oh, that's who that is.
Right.
I don't know how long in real life it was between the court case and when he got a shot with the team.
Speaking of the court case,
well, that was 2 years
it
later.
lasted 5 seconds.
Yeah.
And I was like, when he said, like, I grant you whatever, I thought that meant I grant you an actual court case. I thought that's what he was saying. So I'm like, cool, we're going to get into the court case now. Man, this movie seems longer than I thought it was going to be, but you know what, whatever.
Right.
And then it was like, I'm free, I'm innocent. And I was like, huh?
Yeah.
We didn't do anything. Like, and the rest of the movie is pretty good about showing how long legality takes. But then that moment was like, I think he's innocent. Okay, what do you think? Yeah. All right. Innocent. And you're like, wait. So that was rough. What else can I say? I should talk about the good scenes. So the best scene in the movie is he's in solitary confinement.
Yeah.
And you see him, once again, like I said, no dialogue in this scene. It's doing like a little montage of him going crazy. And so he hallucinates, he's talking to himself. First he starts out by working out, and then he starts hallucinating, and then he's like playing whatever that is.
Football.
The paper football by himself. And then he starts seeing people, and they're like yelling at him or encouraging him, and sometimes it's himself. That was by far the best scene. That was when I went, okay, there's good directing.
Yeah.
Because that was directing. The writing wasn't good because there isn't writing for that scene. The writing for that scene is, and he goes crazy in a cell. Like, that's all you write about that. The rest of it's directing and acting, and the directing and acting in that scene was great. So I don't think it was just the actors being held back by the script. I think Shadyac was being held back by the script too, because in a couple of scenes, another great scene without very much dialogue was when he's getting arrested for the first time, and the cops come in, and he's taking a nap, and they just grab him, and shove a gun in his face, grab him, handcuff him, drag him out. Meanwhile, his mom is being held back in the other room screaming. That scene was good too.
Yeah.
And those were the only 2 good scenes in this movie. And I was like, see, this script is the problem.
Yeah.
And also bad actors. There was very few good actors in this movie. You had Morgan Freeman. The main character was okay. The mom is supposed to be a famous actress. I hadn't seen her in anything else, but I'd heard she was good. And then
wasn't Justin a guy, like an actor? I feel like I've seen him in a bunch of stuff.
Yeah, he's like a bit part kind of guy. I've never been impressed by him, but I've never been disappointed by him before. Right. So, same thing in this. I didn't think he was good, but he wasn't bad either. He was just okay.
Right. Those 2 scenes, no, you're absolutely right. They were awesome. They're the most powerful too for me. Like in the scene where he's going insane in the solitary confinement, like I felt for him for a second. I'm like, oh my God, I can only imagine what it's like to be just locked in there, because like your perception of time is gone.
Right.
Like,
and it was 60 days.
Yeah, 60. You were drunk because you think like it'll be 5 minutes, and it would have felt like an hour to you. Can you just imagine that over 60 days, your time would just be, that's torturous. That's torturous. And then being pulled out like that and having your mom scream, and that was just, that just put yourself in that position for a second. That's rough.
And I thought it was great that, a lot of people, when they go to jail, they find Jesus. He found God. Because Morgan Freeman was in prison.
Yeah, I didn't even think about that. Yeah.
I cracked up the second I saw him, because it was like, and that's Tom Shadyac directed that movie too.
No, that's funny.
I was dying at that. And he almost is an angel, because he keeps he keeps appearing back to him
right at the right times. And
he's like, he keeps remembering what he says, but they do that by having Morgan Freeman literally there. And so and every time it's always him putting his hand on his shoulder, and then he turns around and he's there, and because it happened to him in solitary confinement. And at the very end of the movie, his hand is on his shoulder, and he turns around and it's Coach instead, but it's not the same hand that was on his shoulder.
That's what I was saying, because at first the hand looked black, and then when he pulled away, it was the white Coach.
But you can see it had the sleeve too, and it pulled back, and it was not Dan Quinn. And I was like, man, he found God in prison. I thought that was great.
And Freeman was only in it for like, what, 3 scenes?
Only like 3 or 4 scenes, but he was good.
Yeah.
Like I said,
I don't know what they could have done more to put him in there. I don't think it would have done anything for the story or anything.
I don't think he needed to be in the story more. I think he was
got
great.
the point of him.
Oh, I should also say, as far as good acting goes, the girl that played the bad girl was really good at being really annoying.
Oh, dude.
So, like, she pulled that off really well.
And it's all because, literally, she didn't want to get in trouble by her mom.
Yeah, and it was really, I guess that was well written or maybe well acted or whatever, because you hated her and she would just say some of the dumbest stuff, like it'd be like, oh, I lost my life, and she's like, oh, I'm sorry, you don't get to play football, and you're like, that's not the point.
So like, doing some of the research, I saw they showed clips of the actual the confession she had, and she actually does say, if I don't have to give back that money, I'll say, like, it's like, oh,
horrible person.
Yeah. Oh God.
So I'm glad this movie was made, but it's definitely not a memorable movie. Like those two scenes are memorable. I'm gonna remember that solitary confinement scene because that was well done. That scene alone, I mean, it wasn't perfect, but I would give that scene like an 8. But like a whole movie's a 6. It's not that memorable. And gosh, man, I'm glad they didn't use like CGI to de-age people, but they just shaved. Yeah, and you're like, that guy's still 30.
Oh, dude, that was bothering me the whole time because I'm like, he's supposed to be 16.
I'm like, I know that football players are big in high school, but like, hey, they ain't 30, big.
No, that guy was huge.
Oh, gosh.
Age-wise, so I'm not sure the age of the actor. I'm sure he's in his mid-20s, but he didn't look... Never, they got him to play the 16-year-old version of himself too. They could have got someone younger.
Yeah, and they shaved him, so he looked younger, but he looked like 3 years younger, not 10. And you're like, okay. But yeah, so all around, definitely felt like Shadyac was rusty.
Yeah.
And also, I mean, he does comedies, so drama is different. So it's probably a weird thing for him to come back after not directing for so long and then do something he's never really done before. I think he did one other drama, and it's like, you would have thought that he would have come back with something he was more comfortable with.
Yeah, maybe he wanted the challenge. Maybe that was why. I don't know. I don't know why he took a break to begin with. So.
Actually, I do, and that I was about to say, I think that probably ties into it. So he stopped directing after an accident. He hit his head, and ever since, he became very impassioned about the environment, very impassioned about helping people, and like he did a documentary about like saving the world and stuff. And I feel like maybe he just doesn't care about comedy anymore, and maybe he wants to do stuff with messages. And this movie had a message, so he was like, well, I can still make movies as long as it's got a message. But like I said, I don't know that this is what he's good at, because honestly, I don't know that he's good at making a movie as long as Jim Carrey's not in it, because his only good movies have Jim Carrey in them. So I mean, and you could argue Patch Adams is good. I don't think it is. Some people think it is. It's 50-50, but still Robin Williams.
That's fantastic.
But like, he did The Nutty Professor. Didn't do the sequel, I don't think, but if he did, that's horrible. But the first one's not good either. And so he should have just made a Jim Carrey movie. Jim Carrey could use him, because he has single-handedly Ace Ventura, which started Jim Carrey's acting career in movies, Liar Liar, which revitalized his career after Cable Guy flopped, and Bruce Almighty, which once again revitalized his career after everybody said, oh, he's not funny anymore now that it's not the 90s. So he should come back and revitalize his career again.
Well, maybe he can do a drama with Jim Carrey.
Oh, maybe.
Yeah, that'd be nice.
Yeah.
Cable Guy 2.
Ace Ventura 3. Waiting on that.
Yeah.
If it's anywhere as good as Dumb and Dumber 2, though, I don't want it. But yeah, so Shadyac had moments of brilliance, I'll say.
Yeah.
Moments of brilliance. The actors had moments of brilliance, and the script was utter bull.
Yeah.
So, yeah. Bye, guys.
Bye.